Discover the heartwarming moment when Ginger fed a starving owl the incredible goodbye that changed everything. Ginger stood in the dim glow of the diner's kitchen, the scent of freshly brewed coffee swirling around her as dawn's light spilled through the windows. The bell above the door jingled, announcing the arrival of early morning truckers and families hunched over steaming plates of pancakes. With each cup she poured, she felt a little piece of her heart soften in their daily routines. But as her hands moved deftly, her thoughts drifted to her teenage daughter Mia. They hadn't shared a proper moment together in what felt like ages, and Ginger's heart ached at the thought, a dull tightness that wouldn't disappear. After school, Mia bussed tables at the diner with an air of quiet resilience. But even the laughter that danced on the edges of her smile didn't seem to reach her eyes. Ginger could see the longing there, a wish for connection lurking beneath the surface. They both were tired of dodging heavy silences, of empty spaces where warmth used to be. Their love was real, but they couldn't quite find the thread that could stitch their hearts together again. Then came the day when everything changed. Mia stumbled upon a starving eagle owl in the woods, its feathers ragged and eyes dull. She felt a spark ignite within her, a flicker of excitement at the prospect of saving this majestic bird. Quickly, she ran home and burst through the diner's door breathless. "Mom, you need to see this." Together, they nurtured the owl late into the night, feeding it bits of chicken and watching it regain strength. Each time Mia, turning to her mother for help, drew out giggles and whispers, the tension between them gradually dissolving. They spoke not just of their feathered friend, but of fears and hopes long buried. "I feel like I'm in your shadow," Mia confessed one evening, the firelight dancing in her eyes. Those words struck Ginger deep, like an arrow, and in that moment, she recognized her daughter's hunger for connection, a longing far greater than any meal she could provide. Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. Yet trouble lurked just beyond the diner's doors. A flashy developer's plan threatened to raze the woods where they found the owl. Ginger's heart sank. The thought of losing not only her diner but the sanctuary that held their memories sent her into a whirl of desperation. A broken heart could only be mended through unity, so she took charge. Meetings in the diner erupted with renewed purpose, voices weaving an intricate tapestry of resistance against the developing threat. They rallied the townsfolk, their spirits igniting with shared determination. But as the developer's plans intensified, tensions soared. Mia reached for her mother, unsure of just how far they could push back. On the eve of the final demonstration, they stood hand in hand, feeling the warmth of the community. This time it felt different. As they prepared to say goodbye to the owl, a promise hung in the air, a whisper of hope, yet a fragile longing weighed heavily on them. Would their fight against greed extinguish the light they were slowly kindling between them? The heart of the town beat alongside theirs, and in that moment, they knew they were not alone. But the question lingered like a shadow: would love and resilience win? The cool evening air stirred the leaves around them, almost as if nature itself shared in their anticipation. Ginger tightened her grip on Mia's hand as they stood before the small crowd gathered outside the diner. Nearby, the owl perched on a branch in a makeshift enclosure, feathers ruffled but eyes bright with new life. Tonight was not just about saving an owl. It felt like a last-ditch effort to save a part of themselves too. "Tonight we make our voices heard," Ginger said, her voice steadier than she felt. She turned to face the growing crowd, a mix of loyal diners, fellow townsfolk, and curious passers-by. Each face told a story, a shared love for the woods that cradled their memories. As the meeting began, the energy pulsed through the crowd. They listened to council members, community leaders, and passionate locals share their concerns. Each speech brought a mixture of hope and urgency, but amidst it all, Ginger felt a wave of doubt wash over her. Would their words be enough? The developer's flashy plans loomed over them like a dark cloud. Just moments before, they had all been united for a greater purpose. But now Ginger couldn't shake the sense of impending doom. What if their efforts were futile? She glanced at Mia, who stood attentively, taking in every word. The fire in her daughter's eyes brought Ginger a sense of comfort. Somewhere beneath the surface of fear, there lay the spark of determination. And then another speaker took the stage, an old woman dressed in faded denim and a wide-brimmed hat adorned with feathers. "I've seen these woods grow for decades," she began, her voice strong despite her frail appearance. "The trees have sheltered us, the animals have nourished us. We can't let anyone tear this apart. Not now." Her words echoed through the space like thunder, igniting a chorus of murmurs and nods. Something shifted in Ginger's chest. It wasn't just about the diner or the owl anymore. It was about their home, their roots, the ties that bound them all. As she looked around, she noticed her neighbors standing tall, their spirits intertwining like the very roots of the trees they sought to protect. "Mia, it's time," Ginger whispered, a rush of courage swelling within her. It was time to share their story, not just for the diner, but for the owl, and for the connection they were beginning to mend. They stepped forward into the spotlight together, hand in hand, a palpable force of resolution at their backs. With a quivering heart, Ginger recounted the day Mia found the owl. She spoke of the bond they created through caring for its life, how the little bird had reminded them of the delicate balance of nature. She could see Mia nodding with every word, her eyes reflecting the same fight. When they finished, silence blanketed the crowd. The air felt thick with anticipation. Ginger held her breath, waiting for their response, trembling between fear and hope. Finally, thunderous applause erupted, a wave of solidarity crashing over them. "Together we protect what we love," someone shouted, and the chant began to build a rhythm of voices rising in unison, echoing their unified strength. Despite the chaos swirling outside, in that moment, Ginger felt something inside herself shift. They could stand against the tide. They would be heard. But just as she began to feel invincible, a sudden shriek pierced the night. The owl's call was sharp and urgent. The crowd fell silent, confusion rippling through. "Did something happen? Mom, what's wrong?" Mia whispered, her eyes darting to the tree where the owl sat. Before Ginger could answer, a loud crash echoed from the woods behind them. Shadows loomed large and realization hit like a bolt of lightning. It was the developer's crew here to push them away. "Get ready," Ginger shouted, adrenaline surging through her veins. Would they stand strong against the encroaching darkness? Would the owl's fate and theirs be sealed tonight? The answer lingered in the air like a fragile thread, but one thing was clear. The fight was just beginning. Chaos erupted as the first light of headlights pierced through the trees. The ground trembled under the heavy machinery approaching. Ginger felt her heart race, the pulse of adrenaline echoing through her veins like a rallying cry. "We can't let them take this away," she shouted, her voice slicing through the uncertainty. The owl hooted again, an anxious warning. It felt as if the night itself held its breath. Ginger looked at Mia, who stood rooted in place with wide eyes, a mix of fear and determination washing over her young face. "Stay close to me," Ginger murmured, squeezing Mia's hand tighter. The crowd shifted uneasily, murmurs rising as others realized the threat was no longer just a looming possibility. While some folks began to disperse, others stepped forward, rallying, their own faces lit with defiance. Old Man Dawson, a rugged farmer with a weather-worn face, moved to the forefront. "We've fought for this land. We'll fight for it again," he shouted, his voice slicing through the tension, igniting the embers of their earlier resolve. The chant of "Protect Our Home" surged once more, growing louder with every repetition. Ginger felt the fire in her heart join the rising mantra. She stepped forward, raising her voice above the growing clamor, calling everyone to action. "We won't back down now. Not when so much is at stake." In the distance, the machines roared, cutting through the unseen barrier of trees, but their sound couldn't overpower the unity building among the townsfolk. One by one, familiar faces stepped up to stand beside her neighbors, friends, even those who had once considered themselves adversaries. Ginger looked around, and in each face, she saw the reflection of their shared love for the land and the owl. She felt an unexpected swell of gratitude. They weren't just fighting for a diner or a bird. They were fighting for a piece of their history, for memories etched in every tree and stream. Suddenly, piercing the shouts, a lone voice emerged from the crowd. "What do we tell our kids?" It was Lucy, a local teacher, looking right at Ginger. "What do we teach them if we let this happen?" A collective gasp escaped the crowd. Ginger's heart sank for a brief moment, thinking of the legacy they wanted to build, and which path they might pave if they didn't stand together. "We tell them we fought for what was right," Ginger declared, and a wave of promising nods rippled through the crowd. With newfound clarity she turned back to Mia. "We may not know what happens next, but we can't let fear win. We're doing this for our community, for everything we hold dear." As she spoke, the old woman in the wide-brimmed hat raised her hands, catching everyone's attention. "Let us use our voices. Let us show them that community means something. If we stand together, we're stronger than any machine." At that moment, the lights from the vehicles drew closer, only yards away. The crowd was tight, a wall of resolve. Ginger led the chant now, filled with a fire she didn't know she had. "They can't take our spirit," she yelled, leading the crowd in a rallying cry. One by one, those behind her echoed, voices lifting like a chorus that cracked into a crescendo, rallying against the oncoming threat. But even as they shouted, the hopelessness crept back in with every second. Would it be enough? Then a shadow loomed near her. An imposing figure emerged from the machinery, a representative from the developer's team, mouth set in a rigid line, scanning the crowd, seeming to weigh his options. Ginger's mouth went dry. This was a moment of truth. What would he decide? She needed to act. Heart pounding, she took a breath and stepped forward, ready to confront the reality of standing between everything she loved and the darkness encroaching. "This is our home. You don't belong here," she shouted. In that moment she knew one thing. This was just the beginning of an uphill battle. Would they succeed in protecting their home? Or would they watch as it slipped away? The outcome hung in the air as the figure hesitated, the crowd holding its collective breath. The man from the developer's team shifted slightly, his expression unreadable. The crowd's murmurs intertwined with the engine's growl, creating a confusing symphony of fear and defiance. Ginger's heart thudded in her chest. She couldn't let him see her fear. This was it. Her voice steadied as she pushed back against her uncertainty, more determined than ever. "What will it take for you to see what we're losing?" she called out, making her way through the throngs of townsfolk, each face twisted with concern and courage. "This land is our home. It sustains us in ways you can't understand. It's not just dirt and trees, it's memories, it's family." The man's eyes flickered just for a moment. Maybe he heard her. Or maybe it was the weight of the crowd behind her that got to him. Each person, each voice rising in unity, highlighted their desperation. Ginger could feel the pull of hope around her. Mr. Dawson stepped up beside her, his age-worn hands gripping the edge of a weathered sign that read, "Leave our home alone." His voice rumbled softly at first but gathered strength as he spoke. "You think this machinery will help us? You think this concrete will mean progress? It will only destroy our community. It will drain our soil and numb our spirits." A swell of murmurs rippled through the crowd like a breath of wind through tall grass. Their spirits were rekindled. Ginger's heart soared at the magic of their solidarity. They were more than just a congregation of worried faces, they were a family fighting for their place in the world. The developer's representative remained silent, arms crossed and jaw tight. But the way he shifted his weight told Ginger he was starting to feel uncomfortable under their collective gaze. What if they could reach him? What if he felt their pain, their connection to the land? "Think about it," Ginger pressed, her tone softening. "We're all here, giving our voices for the ones who can't speak, like the owl we protect. What will our children inherit if we stand by and let this happen?" His gaze narrowed, but slowly, the tension in his shoulders eased just a fraction. Moments passed like hours, and Ginger felt the weight of the crowd's anticipation pressing against her. Behind her, Mia squeezed her hand tighter, her small voice suddenly breaking through the tension. "Please," she pleaded. "Don't take our home away. We need it." The developer's representative uncrossed his arms slightly, as if contemplating the light reflected in Mia's wide, hopeful eyes. It was a flicker of vulnerability, a reminder of innocence lost when the world began to move too fast. Ginger stepped forward, locking eyes with him. "You have a choice to make tonight. You can choose to truly listen to the people who have poured their lives into this land. Or you can choose to walk away and turn your back on generations of history." The crowd erupted into a chorus of agreement, voices ringing with emotion and passion. Ginger realized in that moment how raw and powerful hope could be. It flowed through them, radiating from each person, binding them together in a tapestry of love and commitment. But just as she felt the tide turning, another vehicle pulled up. This one was different, sleeker. A company logo prominently displayed on the door. The crowd's energy shifted again, fear threatening to overshadow the bravery they had built. "Who else is coming?" a voice shouted from the back, tension edging into disappointment. Ginger turned to assess the newcomers, dread creeping into her heart. "We'll stand together no matter what," she urged the crowd, gripping Mia's hand tighter. But as the new figure stepped out, something about his presence struck her as familiar. Was he one of them? She couldn't shake the feeling that this was the catalyst for a revelation that they'd all been waiting for. Would this man stand beside them, or would he break their resolve when they needed it most? Would they hold the line against encroaching darkness, or face the pain of watching everything they fought for slip away? An uneasy silence filled the air as he scanned the crowd, processing the moment. Ginger held her breath, waiting for his next move. The newcomer stepped forward, his face partially obscured by shadows. Ginger squinted, trying to make out his features amidst the flurry of emotions swirling around her. He was tall, with an easy kind of confidence that seemed at odds with the tension in the air. As he moved closer, clarity struck. It was Ethan, her childhood friend, the one who had left for the city, and the one she hadn't spoken to in years. Ethan? Ginger's heart raced, a mix of surprise and betrayal mingling inside her. The memories flooded back, days spent exploring the woods and foraging for owl feathers. All the laughter that had bound them before life pulled them apart. "Ginger!" Everyone, his voice cut through the silence, and a few people turned, recognizing him too. "I'm here to help." The crowd shifted uneasily. Could they trust him? He had left after all. The tension weighed heavy again, but Ginger noticed a spark of hope igniting in their faces, a reflection of the boy they once knew. "Help," Mr. Dawson ventured, stepping forth. "Help how? If you're with them, no, listen." Ethan raised his hands in a gesture of peace. "I'm not here to take anything from you. I came to support your fight. I just learned what's happening. This land, it was our playground. Still part of me." Ginger felt her heart soften a fraction. Maybe he could be the bridge they needed to open a conversation. But doubt still loomed. "What changed?" she asked, needing to know if he was genuine. "You were excited about leaving. Why now?" Because Ethan's voice faltered as emotion gripped him. "I saw what was left behind after the development in my city. All the places that used to breathe life, they turned into parking lots and glass buildings. I don't want that for our home." He paused, letting his words settle like dust in the sunlight. "I'm here for the owl too," he added, his eyes searching hers. "I remember how we watched over them. We can't let that happen here." An echo of sympathy rippled through the crowd. Ethan was no longer the boy who left. He had returned with a new understanding. They could feel it, the passion igniting in his voice. "Please let us talk," Ethan continued, stepping forward even farther. "I want to connect the people at the top with the heart of this community. You need to show them what this land means, what it meant to us." Eager murmurs spread among the townsfolk, and Ginger sensed a shift. Could he truly be a bridge? "Let us gather more voices. We need to show them the true weight of our memories," Ethan urged, his gaze earnest. "Let me help you be heard." The crowd began to buzz with possibility. Ginger's heart surged with renewed fire. They could turn the tide. She could feel the warmth of the community behind her, unraveling her doubts with every shared heartbeat. Together then, she finally said, breaking through the energy with clarity, "We'll organize a town hall, a gathering to share our stories. Let us show them who we are and what we stand to lose." Cheers erupted, mingling with claps and shouts of agreement. But as the crowd erupted, there was still an undercurrent of fear. In the distance, she could see the developer's team silently watching. Would they respond? Would they listen? Was Ethan right? Ginger looked at Mia, who still clung to her hand, eyes wide with uncertainty. The excitement turned back to tension. Just for a moment. Could they pull this off? With the stakes so high, the path forward seemed more treacherous than ever. "Let us hope this can change their minds," she murmured, breathless with anticipation, aware that the next chapter was about to unfold. But one question lingered in her mind. What would happen when the reality of their fight met those who wished to erase their story? Ginger felt the weight of the moment as she turned away from Mia and the crowd, her friends' excited voices fading into the background. Each cheer was a reminder of the fragile hope building within her. But with that hope came an anxiety that gnawed at her stomach. Instead of celebrating, she focused on the distance where the developers were positioned, watching with calculated expressions. As the night deepened, the town hall meeting began to take shape in her mind. "We need everyone on board," she whispered to Ethan, who now stood close beside her. "This isn't just about us. It's about our families, the kids who will grow up here. They deserve to enjoy what we had." Ethan nodded, a fire igniting in his eyes. "We can make it a gathering more than a meeting. Let us invite everyone. Kids, elders, artists. Everyone has a story to tell about this land." With renewed energy, they began outlining plans. They would decorate the old town hall with photos and drawings. They weaved the community together like a tapestry. Each thread would represent a person, a memory, a piece of the land that needed protection. As the evening wrapped around them, the conversation flowed easily. Ethan and Ginger shared glances, a silent understanding forming once again, like they were kids in the woods, crafting adventures anew. He seemed different, yet somehow the same, a blend of the carefree boy she remembered and the man he'd become. Suddenly, Mr. Dawson's voice rumbled through the shadows. "You'll need a plan, Ginger. A real plan. If they see us as disorganized, they'll walk all over us." His words hung in the air, a bitter reminder of what was at stake. They needed more than ideas, they needed a strategy that resonated with conviction. "You're right," Ginger replied, her heart hammering. "Celebrating our stories is important, but we need facts and figures too. We can't let them drown us out with corporate jargon." With Ethan's help, they quickly set up a committee. Voices from all corners of the community rang out as they aligned their interests: environmentalists, ready to connect the eco-advocate realm, builders who didn't want to compromise their craftsmanship, and teachers who saw the detrimental effects on children's local experiences. Every detail mattered. Days passed, nights spent in passionate discussion with townsfolk, each gathering growing larger and more animated. Hope melded with urgency as the town began to show a face of unity. They placed flyers in coffee shops, schools, and on trees. It became a movement. Yet even as excitement grew, there were whispers of doubt in secret corners. Ginger couldn't shake off the feeling that the developers would meet them with iron fists. They had resources, connections, and that ruthless bottom-line mentality. What could they possibly do against that? On the day before the town hall meeting, her worries peaked, twisting her stomach. She wandered to the edge of the forest they once cherished, seeking solace. There, in the last light of the day, she spotted something in the trees. The faint rustling betrayed a familiar movement. With growing curiosity, she approached and found an injured owl with ruffled feathers, clearly starving and trembling. Her heart sank. Memories of their childhood explorations flooded back. "What happened to you?" she whispered, kneeling next to the delicate bird. Ginger felt a pang deep within her. The owl reflected their fight, vulnerable yet holding on. As she pulled out a granola bar for an impromptu feeding, she felt the looming heaviness from the day echoing within her. "I'll help you," she murmured softly, realizing this was more than just about the owl. It was about everything: about the home, the beauty of the past they wanted to preserve, and the future they desperately wanted to fight for. She felt a stirring of hope as she carefully placed a piece of food close to the owl's beak. And what about tomorrow? Could they truly muster enough courage to stand tall before those who wished to erase their legacy? With the owl slowly inching closer, a flicker of uncertain hope began to grow. Inside her, but in her heart, deep alongside that hope, was the biting fear of losing it all. Would the town come together as one strong voice, or would they falter under pressure when it truly mattered? The answer was just around the corner, waiting to unfold. Ginger could barely sleep that night. Each time she closed her eyes, the image of the owl flashed before her, its frail body a reminder of the struggle for survival ahead. The tension of the impending town hall meeting clung to her like a wet blanket, suffocating any chance of rest. What would happen tomorrow? Would the voices of their community echo above the corporate machinery seeking to bury their dreams? Morning arrived with the sun casting a warm glow over the familiar landscape. Ginger felt a flicker of courage ignite in her chest. She glanced out of her window and for a moment, the world seemed brimming with possibilities. But as she prepared to leave, unease settled back in, like shadows stretching across her heart. At the town hall, the atmosphere crackled with energy. Voices mingled in a tapestry of excitement and anxiety. The fragrance of cinnamon rolls filled the air, a small comfort in a day fraught with uncertainty. Ginger took in the familiar faces: an old man with twinkling eyes, a group of spirited children, and mothers wielding determination like a shield. They were her people, a patchwork of shared memories and dreams. As she found her place beside Ethan, he caught her gaze, offering a reassuring smile. "We've got this," he said. But his eyes carried the weight of unspoken fears. They both knew what was at stake. With a deep breath, Ginger stepped onto the stage, the crowd falling silent as her heart raced. She scanned the room, taking in the hopeful faces of her neighbors, friends, and family. "Thank you for coming," she started, her voice trembling. "Today isn't just about blocking development. It's about coming together to protect the heart of our community. We have stories, dreams, and faces that represent what we cherish in this land." As she spoke, she could feel the energy in the room shift. People nodded, some murmured in agreement, while others clenched fists in solidarity. Each person drew closer, like tributaries flowing into a river. But a sense of dread loomed over her. Would it be enough? Sharing their plans for the evening's event, she watched their faces light up. They planned to showcase artists, children, and voices that told the history nestled within these trees. The more she spoke, the more a wave of passion surged through her. If they could show the developers the heartbeat of their community, maybe, just maybe, they could prevail. Then came Mr. Dawson's voice from the back, cutting through the atmosphere like a screeching tire. "But what about the money? What will you say when they flash their checks in your face?" The question hung heavy in the air. It struck a nerve. Ginger felt the crowd deflate for just a moment, the harsh reality of the developers' power seeping into their momentum. She locked eyes with Ethan, his concern mirrored in her own. They needed to counter that. "We can't drown in fear," she responded, her voice rising with determination. "Our value lies in our community, in our stories. We're not just numbers or dollars, we're memories and dreams. We're the future of this town." Cheers erupted, igniting a fire in the room. But doubt lurked in the corners. Could their warmth withstand the chill of disinterest and greed? With the echoes of the meeting still buzzing in her mind, Ginger stepped outside, letting the fresh air wash over her. Her heart raced and she could feel the pulse of the community around her, each heartbeat a reminder of their collective strength. She glanced at the sky, a reassuring expanse of blue. But uncertainty loomed like clouds on the horizon. "Hey, you okay?" Ethan asked as he joined her, his voice a comforting balm against the chaos of the day. "I don't know, Ethan. What if we really can't stop them?" She folded her arms, a physical manifestation of her unease. "What if they ignore us?" "They can't ignore our voices if we keep shouting them out," he replied, his firm belief igniting a flicker of hope in her chest. Yet, even as he spoke, she felt the gnawing dread deep down. She needed to unify their community, to transform their passion into action before it was too late. Ginger knelt beside the old oak tree, its branches stretching wide like welcoming arms. Closing her eyes for a moment, she breathed in the scent of the earth, the cool breeze swirling around her. She thought about the essence of their town, the festivals, the laughter, the stories, everything that made it a home. But she also thought about the owl, the fragility of its existence, and how it mirrored her own struggle. "Let us do something memorable," she said suddenly, a spark igniting in her stomach. "What if we organized a community art project? Something big. Something that speaks volumes." Ethan's eyes lit up. "We could create a mural that represents our history, our dreams. We can invite everyone to contribute. Kids, artists, everyone." Ginger felt a swell of excitement, mixed with the haunting anxiety of the press and developers watching their every move. Could this really make a difference? Yes. And we could host it the night before the next town meeting. A literal showcase of who we are. The two spent the better part of the afternoon sketching out ideas, their laughter and enthusiasm mingling with the sound of laughter from the children nearby. Yet, amid this joy, a nagging thought lingered at the back of Ginger's mind. As the sun began to dip below the horizon, spilling warm hues across the sky, Ginger remembered the question that had rattled her during the meeting. What if we lose? It echoed inside her like an ominous drumbeat. Ethan, what if everyone gets disheartened? I don't want to face them if this all falls apart. Her voice cracked as she spoke. He placed a reassuring hand on her shoulder, grounding her. Then we regroup. We keep fighting. This isn't just about the developers. It's about building something we can be proud of, even if the outcome isn't what we hoped for. Gratefulness washed over her. There was clarity in his words that steadied the restlessness inside her. As the evening deepened, they joined the gathering crowd, the excitement palpable. People stopped to ask about their plans for the mural. Ideas flowed, enthusiasm bubbling like the sweet cider they sipped from cups in hand. For the first time, collective voices rose in unison, not in fear, but in hope. Yet, just when the energy felt the strongest, a figure emerged from the shadows. It was Mr. Dawson again, a smirk plastered on his face. He loomed closer, his presence a dark cloud over the burgeoning resolve they created. Nice little plan you've got there, he scoffed, crossing his arms. But what good will it do when we wave money in their faces? The crowd fell silent, the air thick with tension. Ginger's heart raced again, her earlier confidence slipping away. But before she could respond, an unexpected peal of laughter rang out from the children gathering nearby. They were painting stones, their vibrant colors a joyful counter to Mr. Dawson's dark words. In that moment something clicked for Ginger. What if the hearts of our children are what we fight for? She whispered, the thought igniting a new fire within. As Mr. Dawson's gaze darkened, she knew the fight was only just beginning. Would her community rise to meet the challenge? With a determined gaze, she stepped forward, ready to dispel the shadows looming over their future. The next chapter of their fight awaited. But how would they prepare for what was to come? Ginger felt a pull to speak, her voice steady despite the knot of anxiety in her stomach. You know what, Mr. Dawson? Maybe the kids are what we need to focus on. They're the heartbeat of this town, our future. The crowd stirred, energy rippling outward like a shockwave. A few murmurs of agreement popped up. Ethan stood beside her, his expression fierce, as if trying to catch the positive vibe that was taking shape. Ginger's heart soared a bit as more voices joined, echoing her sentiment. Yeah, the kids deserve to live in a place that values community. One elderly man shouted, raising his cane as if it was a banner. Inspiration starts young. A woman chimed in, her eyes sparkling with passion. Ginger could feel the momentum shift. She took a step back, letting the crowd take the lead, watching her neighbors rally. Their faces were lit with newfound determination, and the laughter of the children painting nearby became a soundtrack of hope that outshone Dawson's negativity. Was it possible this time, she thought? Could they really make a change? Let us get to work. Someone shouted, and that ignited a spark in everyone. They broke into groups, brainstorming ideas for designs for the mural that would represent everything they cherished. Together they imagined vibrant colors depicting the seasons of their lives, family gatherings, parades, and yes, even cute, fluffy owls perched among the branches. Ginger moved quickly, sketching out ideas on her phone while tackling the practicalities. She heard snippets of conversations around her. We'll need the local hardware store for paint, one neighbor said. And I can bring my old ladder to reach the top, another suggested. As the evening stretched on, a warm glow settled over the group, laughter ringing out and washing away the earlier tension brought by Dawson. Ginger felt her resolve solidify with every passing moment. They could do this. They really could. But as she looked around, celebrating their small victories, she realized there was still a voice hidden in the background. It nagged at her while the others rallied, coaxing her to consider the looming pressures of the developers and their vast resources. What if they dismissed the mural as childish? Or worse, what if Dawson had a plan to undermine their efforts? Suddenly, from the edge of the crowd, a soft, weary hoot brought her back to attention. Her heart plummeted as she turned her head and saw the little owl again. It perched on a low branch of the oak tree, its feathery body trembling. Ginger's heart sank at the sight. Ethan, look, she gasped. The owl is back. He turned, eyes narrowing. It looks thin. Should we do something? Ginger nodded. She felt a drive to protect the creature, to ensure that it was part of their community and their cause. If they were going to fight for the future, they also needed to care for the present. They would feed it tonight. The two of them approached the tree slowly, careful not to startle the owl. Ginger felt something magical in the air, the connections growing as they moved. With every step, she felt like she was stepping out of her fear and into something greater. What if we made the mural not just about what we want to save but also about what we care for in the moment? She suggested, a plan forming in her mind. As Ethan and she gathered bits of food, her heart swelled with purpose. They would not just create art. They would show the town what it meant to be a community that nurtured all its inhabitants, great and small. But just as they reached for the owl, a sharp voice cut through the sweet summer air. "You're wasting your time." Mr. Dawson's sneer echoed around them like ice on fire, pouring cold over their warm hopes. "Get out of here, Dawson," Ethan warned, fists clenching. Ginger steadied herself as she turned to face him. "We're not afraid of your threats anymore. We'll rise above them together." And with that, their newfound strength surged through the group, but a question gnawed at her heart. What would happen when Dawson made his next move to crush their spirits? Would their bravery be enough to hold the line? As the sun set, casting a twilight glow over the gathering, Ginger knew they were on the brink of something monumental. But would they be ready when the real battle began? Ginger's heart raced as she stood in front of the mural, a vibrant tapestry of color, memories, and stories. The community had come together, pouring their love for their home into each brushstroke. Children dashed back and forth, some giggling while others were deep in concentration, adding their contributions. The owl had become a part of the mural, a symbol of resilience and unity. But even amidst this beautiful moment, doubt crept in. Would it be enough? The town meeting was just hours away, and they needed to be more than a group of hopeful dreamers. They needed a plan. As the sun dipped below the horizon, painting the sky in striking oranges and purples, Ginger took a deep breath, feeling the pulse of the community surrounding her. Mia approached, beaming with pride. "Mom, look at all this. Everyone came together." Ginger looked around. The local bakery had offered cupcakes, the hardware store had donated supplies, and neighbors were adding their unique touches. Felt like magic. But her heart still held that familiar tightness. "Yeah, it's beautiful," Ginger said softly, ruffling Mia's hair. "But we also have to show our unity in that meeting tonight. Do you think everyone can speak up, tell their stories?" "Of course. We fought for this owl, Mom. It's ours." Mia's enthusiasm was infectious. Ginger couldn't help but smile at her daughter's passion. As night fell and the stars winked into view, the community gathered around the mural, a palpable sense of purpose hanging in the air. People leaned against the diner, clutching cups of coffee, eyes filled with determination. Ginger stepped up, taking a deep breath to quiet the apprehension swelling inside her. "Tonight we're not just fighting for a piece of land. We're fighting for our identity," she proclaimed, standing proud in front of her neighbors. "For the memories that shape us as a community. Remember, when we share our stories, our truth shines brighter than anything they throw at us." Murmurs of agreement rippled through the crowd, hearts beating in synchrony. Ginger felt the warmth of hope swell within her, a spark igniting that promised to light their path. As they made their way to the town hall, hand in hand, Ginger noticed several familiar faces. Old friends, neighbors, townsfolk who had poured hours into the mural. They had become more than just a resistance, they had become a family. The town hall was buzzing, filled with anticipation as they filed into the room, feeling the weight of eyes upon them. Ethan glanced at Ginger, a solid anchor amidst the anxiety swirling around her. "We've got this," he whispered. But as the evening unfolded, and the developers took the stage, Ginger felt that familiar tension creep back in. They unleashed facts and figures portraying their grand plans, promises of jobs, luxury, and modernization. The crowd's excitement began to mix with doubt. But then, one by one, voices began to rise from the crowd. The old woman in the wide-brimmed hat stood first, recounting childhood games played in the woods, how they danced with the seasons. Then Mr. Dawson stepped forward, with a heartwarming tale about teaching his children to fish in the same waters that now fed their community. One by one, people spoke, each story intertwining with the next, like threads in a quilt of love. Ginger could feel the strength in their collective voices rising, painting a picture that no words from the developers could erase. Then it was Mia's turn. As she stepped up with hesitant but bold steps, the room fell into a hush. "I found an owl," she began, her voice steady as she detailed how they nurtured it back to health. "That night we became a family again. We realized if we can protect even one life, imagine what we could do for our community and our world. Ginger felt tears well in her eyes. Mia's words wrapped around everyone like a warm hug. It was more than just about the owl. It was about their unity as a community, something that couldn't be quantified by dollars and cents. One last push to save their home remained. The developer's representative stood ready to counter, smug and firm, but his hesitation was palpable. Ginger stepped forward again, her heart thundering in her chest. We are not just any town, this is our home. Our stories are stitched into the very fabric of this land. Money cannot replace love, memories, or the spirit that runs through each of us. Together we stand strong. Together we fight. The hall erupted in applause, voices echoing off the walls. The energy was electric. Hope infused every corner of that room. The representative paused, glancing at his colleagues, mulling over the rising tide of defiance that had come from the townsfolk. For once, it felt like the heart and soul of the community were louder than the machines. As the night drew to a close, Ginger clung to Mia's hand, looking at the vibrant mural they had all created. Their fight wasn't over yet, but in that moment they had come together, each story adding weight to their unity. They walked out of the hall, a sense of resolve filling the air. They decided to keep fighting for this land, for the owl, for their home, ensuring a future for the next generation filled with magic and love in every sunbeam, laughter in every breeze, and hope woven into the very fabric of who they were. And no matter what happened next, Ginger knew this. Their community was stronger than any greed. As they looked up at the stars, she whispered, "We did this together. We'll see it through." The fight was just the beginning, but so was the healing of their hearts. Now you need to subscribe immediately to the channel to not miss the next exclusive stories. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm and keep us alive. Comment your reactions and feelings about the ending. We want to hear from you. And most importantly, share instantly this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this transformation. This is the moment to show your support. Don't wait not even one more second to share. Only true fans understand the importance of supporting the channel through these actions.